Yeah, so we've got 20 minutes, that's all, in which to talk. So the idea of these mindset talks is just to raise an important issue and then hopefully help you to make a shift somehow in your thinking or in your way of seeing things, so that afterwards, when you leave after this 20 minutes, your life will never be the same again. Uh, well, it is actually, yes. It's a challenge for me, I don't know about you. So basically, we're going to be talking about values, and values really are crucial to the whole of our lives. Whether we realise this or not, they're actually sort of ruling us, they're influencing us, they're having a huge impact on us. And basically, if you were to put it very simply, you could say there are two types of values. There are inner values and there are outer values. The inner values are the values connected with your inner self, your inner being, or we would say the soul. So the soul, from a BK point of view, and I think this is probably the most important piece of information I've ever received, and hopefully is anyone here who's never had any contact with the Brahma Kumaris before? Would you like to put your hands up? Anyone who hasn't? There's a few of you who haven't. Oh, well, this will be particularly helpful or useful to you then, because our understanding of the soul is that in its original state, it's complete, pure energy. It's completely pure in terms of its virtues, its values, and its qualities. So in other words, we're full of peace and love and happiness. Does that make sense? Yes, and this is a very different point of view from the traditional Western point of view, which has been highly influenced by the Abrahamic religions, which is basically we're all born in a state of sin, and therefore we need to be controlled and we need to be ruled by fear and force, because if not, then all the badness will come out. And you could say at the moment, when you look around, there's definitely a strong case for saying all the badness is coming out, and there is a lot of fear and force around. Loads of laws are being passed trying to control people's behaviour. That's our first response. So like with the bankers, stashing away all the money, I think Google or one of them said, to a committee of MPs, it's not our fault, we're not paying any tax, it's your fault because you're not making the laws strict enough so that we have to pay the tax. And that is really all about a mindset. It's all about a set of values which on the outside world these days are all to do with material things. They're all to do with the self. They're all to do with me. How much money can I make? How attractive can I be? It's all about competition. Being better than other people, getting a better education, getting a better job, getting a bigger house. There's nothing wrong with all those things on one level, but often they're at the expense of others, and we're seeing that more and more. All the austerity cuts is to do with trying to make up for all the money which we've spent in different sorts of ways. That is one lot of values, and when we apply those values, they have a certain sort of logic to them, a certain lot of sense. If we're spending too much money, then we must stop it. If people are avoiding paying their taxes, then we should introduce certain laws and everything will be all right. Now that external view of values actually in the end is quite demoralizing and depressing. It actually is demeaning to the human spirit, because it's seeing us all actually as objects, it's seeing us all as selfish, it's seeing us all as economic units who can be dismissed or can be made redundant, and it doesn't really matter because we're no different from a machine or a computer or something like that. So in other words, there's no real value assigned to us as human beings. There's no real value assigned to nature. If you can't put a price on it, then it's not worth anything. Does that make sense? And then if we carry on down that road, then it's the road to ruin. because we all end up actually in a terrible mess, and you can see the mess all around us. All the resources get used up. There's greater and greater inequalities. There's more and more money being spent on the wrong things, in inverted commas. I mean, if it's a choice between building houses for young people or nuclear weapons, which should it be? It all depends on your values, doesn't it? If your values are fear-based, if they're based on holding on to what you've got in case anybody else comes along to take it, because of that fear of competition, then we're going to end up, in an even worse state than we are already. On one level, you could say that's to do with politics. You could say it's to do with economics, but actually, ultimately, it's to do with values. It's to do with what we value in our life. So that's one way of going. The other way is to reconnect, and I say reconnect because a lot of us have lost connection with our inner values. Reconnect with our inner values, and our inner values are always positive. They're always based on giving to others. They're always based on service. They're always based on love. They're not based on fear. They're not based on competition. They're based on love and cooperation and unity and tolerance and peace and things like that. They're totally different. Would you agree with that? So the more we can reconnect with those values, the more powerful we will be, the happier we will be, the more contented we will be, and as a result of that, our thinking will change, our awareness will change, our attitude will change, and the way we treat people will change, the way we think about people will change, the way we value people and nature and the environment. All those things will change for the better once we reclaim our inner values. Does that make sense? So in a way, this short talk is all about highlighting the contrast between those outer values, which are actually limited and fear-based and materially based, and there's a logic and a rationale behind them, which is perfectly okay on one level. And then we have the inner values, the universal values, the eternal values, which actually everybody in the whole world, once they go inside and reconnect with their spiritual essence, they will reclaim, they will accept, they will want those values, because those values actually lie at the heart of all of humanity. And this isn't just a theory, because the Brahma Kumaris have done a lot of research on all of this. So in the past, we asked everybody, lots of groups all around the world, what sort of world they would like to live in. And everybody wanted to live in a world of peace, a world of harmony. They wanted to live in a world where everybody had a decent education, where everybody had a roof over their head, where nature was valued and things like that. And all those visions, if you like, were put in a book called Visions of a Better World, which I think may be available in the bookshop. And then we did some research on how can we actually manifest this in the world. And the answer is each of us individually has to claim our own values, and each of us has to operate on the basis of those values. We can't criticize anybody else. We can't put the responsibility anywhere else. We need to actually just take on board those values and bring them into our life in a really positive, loving way. And we have a very nice saying, which has helped me a lot in my time with the Brahma Kumaris: when I change, the world will change. And I used to be a social worker, and prior to that I used to be a prison governor. And I was always wanting to change the world, and it always seemed a very daunting task, because there's so many things to fix out there. And, you can spend all your time trying to fix other people and other things, whereas in actual fact, the only thing you have to do is what? You know the answer to this, I can see. Fix yourself, yes. So less shelf development in terms of buying all these self-development books, which I've done, and more self-development, where we actually put some of these things into practice. And once we've put them into practice ourselves, once we create a happy, positive, loving, peaceful life, where we're connected with our passion, where we're doing something we really love, and we're doing it because we love it, not for the praise, not for the prestige, not for the position, not for the money, but because we really want to, because we're expressing our own inner self, our own inner values. That will have a huge impact, first of all, on your family and your friends, then your work colleagues, and eventually it ripples out all around the world. So, if you want to know what the 12 values are, they happen to be in this book, which is called Living Our Values. I can't remember them all now. But if you just think of what's going on in the world compared with these values. So I'm trying to be very essenceful here. I'm not used to speaking in only 20 minutes. So think of these are universal values which everybody needs and wants. Cooperation. Just think of the difference between that and what we have at the moment. Intense competition, where we're meant to be competing, say, with the Chinese, in terms of output and things like that. Output for what? What is the purpose of output? What is the purpose of a big society? If you don't have any values, you do not have a purpose. You do not have any meaning in your life. Freedom. Think of all the things that are going on at the moment, which are actually the opposite of freedom, all the spying and things like that. Happiness. How many people are really happy? Not many. People having to take drugs, drink, do all sorts of things to try and be happy because they're looking for happiness out there instead of in here. Honesty. We're seeing everything crumbling around us through lack of honesty, whether it's the journalists, whether it's the MPs, whether it's the police. Honesty is a big thing. Humility. There's not much of that around. How many wars are caused by leaders who talk themselves into a position where they feel they can't back down? Love. Love is a very interesting one because there's love as in a very general way. Love, actually, if you think about it, we love everything from chocolate to films to people. And that's a very superficial view of love. Real love, the BKs have a wonderful definition. BKs is short for Brahma Kumaris, by the way, not Burger King. Our definition of love is good wishes and pure feelings for everything and everyone. That's a very good definition, isn't it? Good wishes and pure feelings. And how many minutes have I got left? I have to ask Rosemary. How many minutes have I got left? You give me 5. All right then. Thank you very much. You're very kind. Right, peace. Is there a lot of peace in the world at the moment? Not a lot. No. We could completely end war tomorrow, just like that. All we have to do is connect with our real peace and remember that everybody around us is actually a spiritual brother or sister. We don't have any enemies as souls. We're all the same. So all we have to do, we have a saying in the Brahma Kumaris, which is, some people will know, which is what? Om Shanti, I am a peaceful soul. So if everybody tomorrow said Om Shanti and put down their weapons, no more war. Respect. Just think how that's lacking at the moment. They're apparently having to put notices up in hospitals now telling patients their rights. They have a right to ask for a drink of water. Yeah, they have a right to be cared for. Values. they're going or they've gone because we're out there rather than in here. And there's lots of reasons for it. I'm not criticizing anybody when I say these things. Responsibility. How often do we actually take responsibility for our own actions? Who says somebody makes me angry? Is there anyone here who has ever said that? Nobody can make you angry. You make yourself angry. So you have to take responsibility for your own thoughts, words and actions. Simplicity. Where the society is becoming more and more and more complicated rather than simple. We're even now paying people to come and declutter our homes because we've got so much stuff. Yeah, we've got so much stuff in our homes, we have to pay somebody to come along and help us to get rid of it. If you think about it, it's crazy, isn't it? Tolerance. How much religious tolerance is there? Not a lot. At this moment in time, if you happen to be a Christian and wear a cross, or if you happen to be a Muslim and wear, the head scarf and things like that, people won't want to know you. A lot of people won't. Where is the tolerance? And then the last one, unity. Everything is falling apart rather than coming together because of that lack of unity. We're into division, we're into competition, we're into dividing. And nearly all those things could all be solved. Like I could solve all the problems of the problems, say, for example, of the Church of England, which is falling apart over female bishops and gay priests. It could be solved in, I've got 3 minutes, but it could be solved actually in 10 seconds. Yeah. Because if we forget about people's bodies, their genders and their sexual orientation and concentrate on their virtues, there wouldn't be any problems, would there? Because we then want the best bishops and the best priests based on how loving they are, how caring they are, how committed to God they are. Very different judgments based on very different values. So in the last minute or two, I'd like you to go inside and just connect with one of your key values that's been helping you, guiding you, driving you, because even the job you have will have been influenced by your values. Okay, so just go inside just for 1 minute and think of one of your key values. Everybody's got one? Good. All right then, so just to finish then, I would like you to all stand up, please. And shake hands with 3 people you don't know, one after, and each of you share your value and say, I love peace, or I love happiness, or whatever the value may be. So just share that with 3 different people. Okay, thank you. So